here, and thank you especially to the incredible leaders and community members in Boston and across our Commonwealth who are standing strong in this moment in the face of intense challenge and in the face of so much that is coming at our communities. The elected officials who are here, many who could not be here as well, the city leaders and department heads and cabinet chiefs and frontline city teams, and most of all, our community partners who are here are going through some of the most difficult and intense workloads, the most painful conversations in community, and are still showing up every day, marshaling the resources, the energy, the fight to keep going. So I want to thank you all, most of all, for what you do day in and day out, and especially right now. I am so proud to work alongside colleagues in our city organization and across our community who continue to demonstrate what real leadership in public service looks like. And you'll hear in a little bit from just a sampling of the incredible coalition of organizations and partners that are banding together right now to try to provide resources and supports and keep community members safe and keep the progress going that Boston has established because of our strong relationships. I also want to thank and acknowledge our Attorney General, Andrea Campbell. We are so grateful and proud to have an AG who is out there fighting this fight on behalf of so many of our communities on just about every issue. And for the weekly huddles with city teams, mayors, and select board members and others to help us identify which grants to apply for, which ones that have challenging language, what lawsuits or other legal challenges are necessary. We're very, very thankful for that level of coordination. And thank you to our partners at the state level as well, the governor and her administration and all those elected officials in Massachusetts who are standing up. You'll hear in a little bit from leaders at the Pine Street Inn and Brazilian Worker Center. But again, thank you for the entire coalition of our community partners who are working on every issue to address every need. Also, the Equity Now and Beyond Coalition, who have been pulling together the resources and the advocacy for quite some time to make sure that our voices are heard. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for refusing to be bullied into giving up. And thank you for being with us today. We are now we're now 6 months into a federal administration whose actions have been undermining our economic strength, the key industries that hold up our jobs here in Boston, the pillars of tourism and the impacts on small businesses that are coming from the tariff policies and immigration actions that are creating ripple effects worldwide, attacking our communities and our very identities in the name of safety, when in fact these actions are undermining all of the progress that we know is possible because we have built it on community collaborations and trust. The coordinated attacks that we are seeing on our constitutional freedoms, on due process, on research, science, education, and institutions around the country, but especially based here in Boston, are designed to destroy our sense of trust and connection. But this federal administration fundamentally does not understand Boston. We are taking every possible action here in our city to push back and to stand up for basic rights, for our freedoms, and for the opportunities that we have been building here as a city whose mission every day is to be a home for everyone. We've joined 2 amicus briefs opposing the Trump administration's illegal attempts to end birthright citizenship and terminate temporary protective status for Venezuelans. We've joined elected officials from 7 other cities and counties in signing on to a public letter that opposes restrictions to public service loan forgiveness. We filed a brief in the Supreme Court opposing an end to temporary humanitarian protections for immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. We're leading a coalition of cities from all around the country in a brief challenging billions in illegal cuts to federal funding that would end life-saving medical research on everything from cancer and diabetes to Alzheimer's. And we've been pushing back on the important federal grant dollars that have been threatened to be rescinded or terminated, especially in cases where legal language or congressional appropriation or direct contracts are protecting the City of Boston's right to access those funds to deliver those critical services. As an example of that, a couple months ago, our Chief of Housing, Sheila Dillon, was told that the Trump administration would not be releasing the $48 million that had already been awarded to Boston unless we complied with their ideological wish list. Money that is needed and is used on an annual basis to provide housing, job training, health care to more than 2,000 people, including veterans, partners fleeing domestic violence, and young people with nowhere to go. It's money that we and our partners in the community have been counting on to continue to do the on-the-ground work that has driven Boston's homelessness rate down to one of the lowest in the nation, and that critically needs to be available to serve everyone in our community, not just those who fit the particular mold of this administration. So we sued the Trump administration to get the funding, and at the end of last week, we won a major victory when a federal judge sided with the City of Boston. In this area and in every other area where we can defend the dollars and resources that are meant to deliver for our community members and to make Boston a home for everyone, or in areas where policies are and actions are taking place that are undermining the progress that Boston has built, we will be standing up. Boston is the safest major city in the country because we are a city that's safe for everyone, because we have the strongest gun laws in the nation, because our officers have decades of relationships with community members, neighborhood association leaders, clergy, public health workers, partners on the ground who are doing the work every single day. And that trust exists between residents and our city government. That safety and hard-earned trust is being jeopardized by the Trump administration's actions, and we see examples of this in other cities around the country right now. So this morning, I also signed an executive order seeking greater transparency from federal officials in response to the secret police tactics that have been deployed around the country in immigration enforcement. The City of Boston will regularly submit Federal Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA, requests to the Department of Homeland Security regarding federal immigration enforcement activity to find out who they are detaining and arresting and on what grounds. Here in Boston, we know how to keep our community safe. Our public safety statistics tell the whole story, that not only do we have among the lowest statistics around violence of any major city in the country, rates of gun violence, of homicide, and other major crimes are at the lowest levels in Boston's recorded history as well. This is because of decades of partnership and of important changes that have been made to ensure that our officers uphold the trust and transparency and accountability that we have been bestowed by residents. In Boston, our officers wear badges. They do not routinely wear masks. We are clear about the reasons for potential arrests or interactions. There are guidelines in place, body cameras documenting what takes place as well. And it is our responsibility to make sure that the communication between our residents and the City of Boston in every manner is designed to boost trust and boost collaboration. We expect the same standards from law enforcement operating in the city, no matter what agency they are from. And we see the actions that are taking place directly undermining trust across all interactions with city government, and therefore are resulting in making our communities less safe. We do not need the federal government to tell us what safety looks like when we see it with our own eyes. And in Boston, we will stand strong for our community members and our residents. The least that can be done is to make sure that we are receiving information after arrests of who has been taken and why and where. This is one small step in a whole range of actions that are needed to keep our community safe. We rely on the Boston Trust Act and state law that ensures that local police focus on public safety at the local level and do not get co-opted into federal immigration enforcement. We rely on clear and frequent communication between our first responders and community members on a weekly basis. We focus on violence prevention and targeting the locations or resources that are necessary to continue the progress. And what we have seen in Boston, especially in the last 3 years, is that when every part of our community is empowered to collaborate, when everyone feels safe reaching out, to ask for help, to report a crime, to participate, to share information that is available, it makes everyone in our community safer, not just our immigrant residents, but everyone in our community. And so we will never turn our back on injustice in the city. We will never give up on our families. And we stand with our partner cities and all the communities across the country who are fighting every day for the people that they love and for the future that we know we deserve. Before I turn it over to our Chief of Housing to talk a little bit more about the specific case legal case that we've been referencing, I just want to provide a few remarks in Spanish as well. Buenos días y gracias por estar aquí en Boston y en todo el país. Estamos entrando al mes número 6 de una administración federal enfocada en consolidar su propio poder, desmantelar el Estado de Derecho, borrar nuestra historia y atacar a todos quienes no estén de acuerdo con su agenda. Esos ataques están diseñados para destruir nuestro sentido de confianza y conexión, para hacernos alejarnos de otros. Eso es lo que esta administración quiere. Pero esta es una administración federal que fundamentalmente no entiende a la ciudad de Boston. Boston es la ciudad más segura en todo el país porque somos una ciudad segura para todos. Y es por la confianza que existe entre residentes y la Policía Municipal de Boston. Ahora mismo esa seguridad y confianza están siendo comprometidas por las acciones del presidente y administración federal. Entonces, esta mañana firmé una orden ejecutiva demandando más transparencia para parte de oficiales federales de inmigración, en respuesta a los agentes federales que descargan actos de policía secreta en nuestros vecindarios. La ciudad presentará regularmente solicitudes federales de la Ley de Libertad de Información al Departamento de Seguridad Nacional con respecto a la actividad federal de aplicación de ley de la inmigración para averiguar a quién están deteniendo y arrestando y por cuáles motivos. Estamos tomando cada acción posible para luchar contra estos ataques hacia nuestra comunidad y economía. Estamos oponiéndonos a los atentos ilegales para terminar la ciudadanía por derecho de nacimiento y terminar estados protectivos temporales para los venezolanos. Hemos presentado un escrito a la Corte Suprema oponiendo el fin de protecciones humanitarias para los inmigrantes de Cuba, Haití, Nicaragua y Venezuela. Estamos liderando una coalición de ciudades en todo el país quienes están en contra del corte de billones de dólares en financiación federal de la investigación. Y hemos demandado al presidente Trump por 48 millones alojamiento que ya había sido designado así a Boston. Es dinero que ya nos habían prometido y es dinero que nos deben. Y al fin de la semana pasada ganamos una gran victoria cuando un juez federal ordenó a la administración federal que cumpliera. Boston es una ciudad para todos y la misión de nuestra administración aquí al nivel municipal es que Boston sea un hogar para cada familia, cada cultura, cada generación. Nunca le daremos la espalda a la injusticia ni renunciaremos a nuestras familias. Estamos con nuestras ciudades asociadas y todas las comunidades en el país que siguen luchando todos los días por nuestros seres queridos y por el país que amamos. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it over to Chief of Housing Sheila Dillon, who will be followed by Pine Street Inn President Lydia Downey, Executive Director Lenita Reason of the Brazilian Workers Center, Equity Now and Beyond Coalition Leader Claire Luis, and then I want to invite up all of my colleagues in elected office. I know we're joined by Senator Lydia Edwards, Representative John Moran, City Councilor Sharon Durkin, City Councilor Enrique Pepin. I don't know if anyone else can, and I believe a few of them will speak on behalf of the entire group. Chief Dillon.
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning. I'm here to talk a little bit more about the Continuum of Care funding that the Mayor referenced. Every year, the City of Boston and many talented nonprofits apply to the federal government for Continuum of Care funding. The application is a hard one. It takes weeks and weeks and weeks to complete and compile. And every year after we hit send, we hold our breath and wait for this life-saving resource to be announced and then allocated. Boston, working closely with our nonprofit partners, use this money really well. We have, as the Mayor mentioned, we have one of the lowest unsheltered homeless rates in the country. At our last point in time count, we had less than 200 unsheltered individuals on the street compared to thousands in some of our major cities. The number of people experiencing homelessness for the first time is decreasing, and we continue to house thousands of homeless people every year. We use every tool and resource that we have available to us, including our Continuum of Care funding, to house and serve our homeless. In the waning days of the Biden administration, they announced that Boston would receive over $48 million in COC grants to continue and expand these important programs. But instead of celebrating the new funding allocation, the contracts we received from the current administration were so altered, so conditioned, so unworkable that we joined with other jurisdictions and fought back. And as the Mayor reported, we were successful. I want to thank Mayor Wu for her leadership on this issue. Boston was steadfast in our belief that these critical federal resources must continue to serve our homeless and the most vulnerable residents here in Boston. As I mentioned, we work with a lot of very, very talented nonprofits, really that put their heart and their soul and need this critical resource to do the work that they do every year. One of those is Pine Street, and I'm going to ask Lydia Downey now to come up. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As Sheila said, I'm Lydia Downey. I'm the President and Executive Director at Pine Street Inn. Can't tell you how important these dollars are to us. At Pine Street alone, this funding supports 1,100 people every day who were formerly homeless, who now live in housing, covers a portion of their rent, helps with support services, and we use another portion of this money to do direct work on the street. We saw over 2,000 different individuals on the street last year, and this money supports that outreach. We had a 96% retention rate last year in our housing, 96%. That means if you moved in a year ago, you were still there a year later. Not only does it help people get housing, helps them stay off the street and out of shelter. Sheila and the Mayor both mentioned we have one of the lowest street rates in the country. Right now, the number of people who stay out in Boston, it's about 3%. The national average is 45%, so we've made really good use of these dollars. In most other cities, the rate of long-term homelessness is roughly about 22%. In Boston, it's 9%. Why does that matter? Because the people who are long-time homeless and end up on the street and end up in shelter, also end up in the hospital. They end up in emergency rooms, and they end up inpatient at a much higher rate than really what I would call the general population. That's actually when we can house these folks. There was a study done about 5 years ago with Blue Cross. The Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation sponsored it, and there was a savings of between $6,000 and $10,000 for every single person we could place in housing, because they were no longer in the ERs, they were no longer inpatient. So this money actually generates some really significant savings really across the state. The other thing I would note, we've beat the national average on housing homeless vets. We've reduced our veterans numbers by 62% in the city of Boston versus 55% nationally. So I want to thank the mayor and Sheila and the team here for really pushing hard to keep these dollars flowing. They are essential to us having a robust city for everybody. Thank you.
Bom dia, everyone. Good morning. My name is Lenita Reason. I am the executive director at the Brazilian Workers Center, a 30 years nonprofit organization located in Boston and serving immigrants community regardless of immigration status or country of origin. I am also on a board, on the advisory board of Mira Coalition, and I am on a board of Massachusetts Immigrant Collaborative. Today, first of all, I want to thank you, the mayor, for your effort and commitment to make and keep Boston a safe city for all residents, regardless where we came from, or our skin color, or our immigration status. I am a resident of Boston. I'm working in Boston. My son goes to Boston Public School. And when I moved here, like many other immigrants, we was looking for safety and opportunity. I never thought I would be stand in front of you speaking, because it's like I'm not a public speaking, but I am a community leader. I am an organizer. And I see, and I have been working at the Brazilian Workers Center for the past 15 years, and I know what my community going through. And I have lived it myself on the first Trump administration. I was calling names on a public transportation. I was saying, go back to your country. I didn't, right? So I'm here today. I am a naturalized U.S. citizen, and the Brazilian Workers Center was the first organization in 2 hours after Trump took the office to file a lawsuit against the birthright citizenship that he's trying to take away from us and take out of our Constitution. So today I just want to share with you just a quick story of 3 individuals of our community, of members of the Brazilian Workers Center, residents of Boston. And you will decide if this is right or wrong. So I want to tell you about a father that lives in this country for 26 years, that has a small business, that pays tax, that does not have criminal record, and was arrested and taken to Texas, and it has been 2 weeks, and he's not even in a system yet. The only way we know that is in Texas is because the community helped his wife to retain an attorney, and we was able to find out where he is. I want to tell you, and he's diabetic. So because he has an attorney, he's able to at least get the diet that he needs. But we have another person. I'm not talking about numbers. I'm talking about human beings. I'm talking about individuals. I'm talking about members of our community. This is a woman that has been detained for a month. She's in Arizona. She has work authorization. She has no criminal record. She's having health issues. She's dealing with, she has lupus, and they are denying her medical treatment. She's supposed to have her medication once a week, and she has been arrested for a month without her treatment. So I'm trying now, as a community leader, to find, to seek someone, an attorney, to go see her in Arizona and try to advocate for her to at least get her medical treatment. Because she has work authorization that will expire in December, what was told to her is that she's going to be kept detained until December, and then they will deport her. The other story I want to tell you is about a father of 2 children that lives very close to my office in Alston, Brighton, that was detained at work 2 weeks ago, and he has the rent money on his pocket. He was supposed to go after work to pay the rent. So he was detained, and then his wife doesn't have a way to pay the rent. So she reached out to us. We was able to support her with food for her kids, other basic needs, and now we are trying to figure out rent. Because as a nonprofit, we receive funds for individual programs. We don't have, and our operating fund is very limited, so we don't have money to pay rent. We have, at the Brazilian Worker Center, we already pay tickets back to Brazil for families that say, I can't stay here anymore, I don't have way to go, I don't want to be deported, can you help us to leave? We help people, and today I have a colleague, Eloisa, that runs another nonprofit in Boston. She was asking me, there is a family of 5 that is trying to leave, and how we're going to do to pay their tickets back, because they don't want to wait until they're being kidnapped on the street and put it on somewhere in this country, or even be deported to another country that's not their country of origin. So you tell me what you think, if this is right. Is this what we are here for? Is this what America is about? Or it's about the dreams that many came here. Whoever that is not a Native American came here from somewhere, looking for something that we all today are looking for. And so I really want to ask the other mayors out there that follow Mayor Wu lead, that be inspired by her, that don't turn their back to the community. Because today I can vote, but when I couldn't vote, I was doing door knock and I was organizing. So we are here to work, we are here to collaborate, we pay our tax, and we're just seeking for what is right. So you mentioned that it's a small thing that you're doing with this executive order. For us at the community, this is huge, because we don't want to be waiting 2 weeks, 3 weeks to find out where our fathers, mothers, members of our community, hard work people is taken to. So we need to at least to know what they are and try to figure out how we can support them. So I want to thank you again, Mayor Wu, my dear Senator Lydia Edwards, that have been learning a lot through my years with her. And I want to thank you for being here today to listen and just judge and take action. Even if you think it's a small action, it's something that if we all do it together, we can beat this. And we can make not only Boston, but Massachusetts a place that is safe for all of us. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. First and foremost, I would like to thank Mayor Wu. Thank you for your continuous efforts in making Boston a safe city for all and striving every day to keep it vibrant and colorful. Watching your leadership has been nothing short of transformational in rebuilding a people-centered city. My name is Claire Louise Ocalan, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Equity Now and Beyond Coalition. The Equity Now and Beyond Coalition is made up of the Brazilian Women's Group, the African Community Economic Development of New England, Agencia Alpha, True Alliance Center, and is coordinated by Center to Support Immigrant Organizing that came together during COVID to steer organizing around health resources, and now is doing work beyond COVID to seek justice in all our immigrant communities. This executive order that the Trump administration has to share information with the city on all detainees, I'm sorry, my eyes, I apologize, helps advocacy groups like ours, particularly to support families with legal assistance, health equity assistance, food assistance, so that they can survive. I'd like us to go back to 2020 when we were all asked to stay and shelter in place. It was the same immigrant workers who were essential in creating connections and vessels to keep this city alive. They were in our hospitals, they were in our nursing homes, they drove our buses, they delivered meals, they staffed our supermarkets, they packed produce. And now under the Trump administration, these same workers, who we called essential, are attacked for no more than being Black and brown. Boston is a city of solidarity. That's what I love about it the most. We're asking Bostonians and folks in Massachusetts in general to stand with us in many more ways as we support our immigrant workers, who are the backbone of not only the city and the state. I'd like to amplify a few of my colleagues in this room because of the countless hours that they spend with families hearing these stories. Lenina, thank you always for your cell phone being on 24 hours a day. Maroney from Massachusetts Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy and Coalition, thank you. Folks from We Got Us, Pathway for Immigrant Workers, Brazilian Workers Center, Immigrant Family Services Institutes. I'm saying all these names, but there's many more other organizations that do Know Your Rights trainings, that go out to communities and ensure that they have what they need. I would like to spotlight Luce, born also from a new problem, a new challenge. Luce is a collective that has done the work of making sure that our immigrant families are able to know exactly what they should be doing and how to respond to ICE. If you see ICE in your neighborhood or workplace, please call the statewide hotline. The number is 617-370-5023 and report it. We have trained volunteers that will arrive to support immigrants, make sure constitutional rights are enforced, and raise public protests if they are essentially there to kidnap and detain people without due process and separate children and families. Thank you, Mayor Wu, for your leadership. We will continue to make the city as vibrant as you want it to be, as you envision it to be, and let's bring back Boston solidarity. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lydia Edwards. I'm a senator representing the 3rd Suffolk, which includes Winthrop, Revere, East Boston, and downtown Boston, the North End. I want to thank Mayor Wu for this gathering in this moment and her leadership. I am especially inspired to keep moving, to keep speaking on behalf of the many people I am proudly representing. I live in East Boston. East Boston is second only to Ellis Island for the amount of immigrants that came into this country. This city punches above its weight class when it comes to immigrants and making Americans. This city has traditionally done so and will continue to do so. And this city is made up of so many different people from so many different backgrounds. What you see here is Boston. What you see behind me, the mayor, is an incredible leader of this great city because of the immigrants. Immigrants are our frontline workers. They are our teachers. They are our mothers, our fathers, our children. They are the people that we call when people have died in our lives, they are our pastors, they are part of our communities. And that's the thing that this administration, this federal administration does not understand. Boston isn't strong because of federal money. Boston is strong because of the people who live here. Boston is strong because of the people who create this city, and they come from everywhere. We know that they are attacking us because we look like we do, because we succeed the way we do, because we succeed proudly as we are, that we say you're welcome here, regardless of what your federal status is, who you love, how you present yourself, and that frightens some people. So they try to take away the money, they'll try to punish us, but again, they don't know Boston. They don't know this heartbeat, they don't know this strength, and we are tough as hell. We stick together, we are a city of neighborhoods. That means we stick together. We know who's across the street from us. We know when someone's sick. We have helped each other. Mutual aid societies have stepped up. So many different ways we came together as a city. This city is strong and stronger. You hit, we hit back harder. Now, when it comes to this moment especially, the narrative that we are safer somehow because ICE is doing what it's doing is simply false. We are safer. This city is safer because of our public safety officers, our police officers, combine that with transparency. They have body cameras. They do not cover their faces. They have worked for decades in community involvement and getting to know the kids and the people in our community. It is community policing. It's the everyday get-to-know-you moments that have earned the trust, and these kinds of raids, these kinds of actions erode that trust. That makes us less safe. We know that transparency, sunlight is what we need, and I'm so proud of this executive order to, again, push for more sunlight and to demand more accountability from law enforcement. We're safer when we do that. And let me just say this, I am a state elected official, I'm a state senator, but I'm also here because I'm a black woman. My family, I can trace my family back to 1818 in this country. I know the slaves' names. I know my history. I know what this country has done before. And the first thing to do when they want to take away your rights is to deny that you exist, that you are deserving of rights. That's literally why we had to have the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. Because the Supreme Court at that time said, in Dred Scott, being black isn't enough, being born here isn't enough. You're just not equal and allowed to have those rights. So what I'm trying to say is we've been here before, United States of America, Bostonians and people know your history, and we still won then. And we would not, even though the Supreme Court said you are not deserving of equal rights, we knew we were. We know we are. Being here is enough, being born here is enough to be protected by this Constitution. And since I'm brought up the Constitution, let me just say this quite simply. Isn't it amazing that immigrants, their children, documented or not documented, are fighting for our constitutional rights? This is a room of patriots who are fighting for the Constitution to apply the way it should to everyone equally. Mayor Wu is standing up for this country, for the contract between the government and the people. All people, whether you're born here or not, regardless of your status. I am so sad that we have to have this battle again. But I'm also so inspired from the undocumented people I have met, I have represented, I have fought for, I have married, who came here and became incredible patriotic citizens, some serving in this country's military. They are sending their children to die for this country. We, this city, will protect our own. This state will protect our own. We know that papers do not define who you are or your freedom as they tried to do back in slavery. I'm proud of this country. I am so proud of you, Mayor Wu. I'm so proud of your strength. I want to also give up to some of the leaders and organizations like the Chinese Progressive Association. I want to thank you, Bravik Landing Rita. I want to thank you from Atahari Monique. I'm fighting. I'm going to keep fighting because we don't have a choice. And I'm proud of this city, and I will continue to fight. Thank you.
So I'm tempted just to leave it there. I want to also recognize that two more colleagues have joined us from the City Council. City Councilor Gabriela Coleta Zapata, thank you for all your leadership, and City Council President Ruth Lujan. So I know we were going to just have one elected represent the state in speaking, and then one represent the city council. It was going to be Enrique before. Do you want to? Why don't we all, and you can do this. Great, thank you.
Go.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Enrique Pep, and I'm the Boston City Council for District 5, and I'm proud to stand here with my Boston City Council colleagues, standing side by side with our mayor and our amazing community leaders in support of this executive order that the mayor has sent to the federal government. Because, yes, we are municipal leaders, but we very much are impacted by what's happening in the federal government at the moment. Every single day, our offices, we receive emails and phone calls of residents that are scared to send their children to school, business owners that are scared of their employees coming to work, and homeowners or renters that are scared about what their life's going to look like if they're going to be able to pay the rent that next month. Which is why we are so proud that last year we were able to vote in favor of the Boston Trust Act to make sure that our police are not cooperating with our federal agents and not assisting them in taking away non-criminals from our city. And like our great mayor says, our city is great not in spite of our immigrants, but because of our immigrants. I'm a proud son of two beautiful Dominican immigrants that came to this country and left everything that they knew in their country to make a home here in the city of Boston. And I know that's the story for many of my colleagues as well. That our parents and some of ourselves have left our country that we knew to trust this country. But unfortunately, that is not what we're seeing from our presidential administration. That is not the kind of trust that he's given our people. In fact, he's using lies and myths, saying that only the criminals are being taken away. But in reality, it's hardworking people that are here legally with TPS, with worker permits, with student visas, and they are being taken away. So what is the reality that we're living in? That's why I'm so proud of the work that not only us as elected leaders are doing, but community. In District 5, I have an organization called RISE. RISE knows for everyone. And literally, one day when ICE agents were on the street of Washington Street in Rosendale, they got word that there were ICE agents out. And they deployed 20 residents to go to every single small business to let them know that ICE agents were in the neighborhood, and to every school during dismissal to make sure that the parents and the students were safe. That is what Boston is about. It's about making sure that we are protecting our immigrants, because this is why this city exists. This is why this city does so great, because of our community. And I'm just so glad that I see so many of my colleagues here side by side, standing toe-to-toe with our mayor and telling the federal government, do better. Our people deserve better. Y para mi gente latina, estoy con ustedes. Esta es nuestra ciudad, este es nuestro país también. Quiero que ustedes sepan que nosotros estamos haciendo todo lo posible de asegurarnos que Boston siga siendo su casa, porque eso es su hogar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Rutu Lijen, President of the Boston City Council. I want to thank my colleague, Councilor Enrique Pepen, for so eloquently stating what we all feel every day. This is the Boston City Council, so we immediately reaffirmed the Trust Act last year to make sure that all of our residents knew who we are and that we don't change. Regardless of the values at the federal level changes, we are the same here in the city of Boston. This work could not be possible without our mayor courageously leading us. I want to thank you, Mayor. I want to thank our state partners. I see so many community leaders who are here and who are ever present. This is, we did not choose these fights. We did not want these fights. These are residents, these are immigrant communities who are every day contributing to our city, like Councilor Pepen stated. And what we're seeing is this is an opportunity for us to be really doing the work of intersectionality, of showing up for each other, the fullness of our city, and the greatness of our city. So I want to thank the mayor for this executive order. I want to thank all of the community members who stand alongside us, who push us, who are doing the work of making sure that people have legal help We are doing that work on the council. Yesterday we were here signing the amended budget where the mayor invested and then the city council invested on top of that for legal assistance for our immigrant communities. That work is so important. We see again and again and again a federal government that is simply okay with trampling on people's due process rights. That is completely un-American. It is completely unacceptable. And we need to be ready with a response. And we need to be ready with a legal response. As a daughter of Haitian immigrants, Haitians who have been, for whatever reason, rooted in xenophobia and racism of this president, we are still here. We are part of this city. We will always be part of this city. And we, as Councilor Pepen stated, the immigrants help to hold up our city and provide a part of every sector. So there's a tremendous fear, but I also know that there is tremendous courage from our Moya office, from Chinese Progressive Association, from Acedone, from IFC, from Brazilian Worker Center, from MIRA, from all of our partners. And we stand steady, we stand fast in who we are because we are Bostonians. We believe in our Constitution, we believe in the law, and we believe in each other. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much to everyone. Are there any questions from the media on just this topic of sort of broadly the federal government and our response? Charmin.
Your executive order, what kind of teeth does that have? I mean, how do you force the federal government to do it?
Yeah, city government has our own authority, state government has their sphere of jurisdiction, and neither city or state government can overrule or control what is specifically under the federal government's purview in a lot of ways. Elections have consequences. We are where we are because of a new federal administration that is carrying forth actions that are in some cases within the power of the federal government. In many cases, we are seeing that those actions are overstepping the bounds of the Constitution, of due process, of federal laws, of basic decency, civil rights, human rights. And as we stated earlier, thankfully, in some cases, the courts are stopping those actions, are forcing them to make good on the grant dollars that are obligated to communities to serve in the right ways, or to pause on actions that would dismantle life-saving research and set us back in terms of the healthcare and innovations that we know are needed and possible. And in some cases, the city government cannot overrule what they're doing, but it's still important to tell the truth, and it's still important to be clear about what we expect from our federal government. In this case, the statement and the order that we as a city are going to take on the responsibility of formally requesting through available channels, the Freedom of Information Act, the type of information that is basic to community policing and a functioning democratic society. My advice to Tom Homan and ICE is to take a time out. Reassess what you are doing and how you are doing it. A little friendly advice from the safest major city in the country. We know how to keep people safe. We know that that requires collaboration and trust and community members holding each other and holding our law enforcement officials and city officials and state government to the highest of standards. The American people are not stupid. No one is buying the line that these secret police tactics are making communities safer. No one is buying that this is making cities safer, how they are doing their jobs. Now, I'm not here to say, that I'm going to, from the city level, direct the agenda or the priorities that a federal agency is exercising. I disagree with them strongly. I voted the other way in the election when I had the opportunity. But how they are carrying out what is within their legal purview to do is still important. And as we've said over and over again, our Boston police officers wear badges. They are clearly identified. They treat community members as partners in public safety and community safety. and there's information available on who was arrested and why and where they were taken. We have heard numerous accounts, and our community partners in this room as well, every single day, dozens of stories around how people are being approached to be arrested by masked individuals, refusing to identify themselves, refusing to share any information with their loved ones about why they are taking that person, where they are taking them, how to find information about where they're taking them. So everything is being cobbled together at the community level because we are Boston, this is our city, and this is what we do. But this executive order establishes the framework that we are going to formally request this information through available channels, both through FOIA, and I didn't mention directly, but it's in the executive order, also to be in clear and direct communication with our consular offices in the city as well, because many of the consulates are places that immigrant community members and families are turning as well, to try to collect and provide that information as timely a manner as possible. And if they are going to find ways around that law, if they are going to find ways to not comply with the Freedom of Information Act, right, that is something that also needs to be clear, that when there are direct requests for transparency, there should be a direct response.
Mayor Wu, do you have even a vague idea of the number of Bostonians who've been taken into ICE custody since January? And then follow-up question, can you talk about the timing of this show? Why are you sending this message today? It gives the idea of going toe-to-toe with the Trump administration right after they've called 2,000 National Guardsmen into LA.
So on your first question, that is exactly the reason why we need this kind of information. There have been big numbers thrown out there that are connected to a political agenda of establishing a certain quota of detentions to meet the threshold of what they describe as a successful mass deportation with quote unquote collateral human beings. We don't know if those numbers are real. We don't know who they're counting as part of these numbers. We don't know where those individuals live, where they were arrested, which were within the city of Boston or a different municipal jurisdiction. We don't have any information at all, and we have asked. We've even asked for information following the discrepancy in how many detainer requests were issued to the city of Boston for our own records to be able to know what the truth is, and we have not gotten any response still in months. And so that is really the driving motivation behind standing together to say this is basic information in a country of laws and due process that we are owed as a society, to know when someone is arrested, who was that, why, where, and that is what we expect. In terms of timing, I mean, we've been meeting with our community partners for months at this point. The feedback and all, if anyone from our community side wants to step in and speak as well, please do. The urgency has ratcheted up with what we are seeing and an escalation of these kinds of tactics here and in communities around the country. And so we wanted to be clear of what the basic standards are that provide for progress on public safety that we know have been impactful in the city of Boston and that our police officers uphold every day and that we expect other law enforcement officials operating in Boston also to uphold. Does anyone want to Does anyone on the community side want to add anything on these questions? Good. Okay. Yes.
You guys have pointed out many examples of apparent due process trampling in many ways, but what about immigrants who haven't had their due process gone through, gotten final deportations orders, maybe even under a past administration? What's your message to and about those people?
Can you go further? Mm-hmm.
They've gone through the process, maybe have lived here for years because that process took so long. Should they leave?
So as I've said here and in Washington, our immigration system is broken. I think we can acknowledge that across the board, that there are, we need clear rules. We need a way to ensure that so in terms of just from my purview at the city level, which does not extend to the decision makers who are actually in charge of and have the authority to make these decisions, please, we need comprehensive immigration reform. We need a law passed. It is this president who torpedoed the bipartisan framework that was put forward, and we can all quibble with whether that was the perfect law this way or that way. I don't think such a thing exists, but to have some kind of discussion through our democratic channels of what the law should be and how to enforce it, and for Congress to do their jobs and move this forward. We've been calling for this for a very long time. I think the governor had said this, and so many of the community members across the country have said this. In the absence of that, to have humane recognition that people are human beings. And of course, right, the city of Boston is safe, not because we are what some describe, when some people say sanctuary cities, they are trying to suggest that it is a place where acts of harm or crimes go unchecked and are shielded from accountability. And in fact, we are saying the opposite, that we are a city and a government where all of our services are provided without question of immigration status. Going to our Boston public schools, being in our community centers, programming in our libraries, senior centers, any of the ways that we serve our community members, we serve everyone without asking or collecting information around immigration status. The flip side is also that when there is harm committed in the community, when there are actions and crimes that take place, there is accountability, regardless of immigration status, for everyone. And that is what has made us the safest major city in the country, knowing that this is not we are holding everyone accountable, and we are providing resources to everyone. So in terms of what the message is for those who are within the legal immigration system as it stands now, it is incredibly important to have representation. There is a reason why the data shows that when someone is in the midst of immigration or deportation proceedings and they have legal representation, it is very different outcomes when you have someone there who can help you understand and have the law applied correctly to your case versus not having that basic support. And so some of what this group has also been doing is to really recruit volunteer lawyers from our community. Any immigration attorney who is out there who somehow is not yet plugged in the volunteer efforts, please, you can reach out to the City of Boston. We would be happy to connect you with the organizations that are offering free and available consultations to help you know your rights. We follow the laws in the City of Boston. We follow city, state, and federal laws. The federal government does not seem to be following all the laws in this moment, and that's why we are standing up and refusing to be bullied out of speaking the truth. Okay. Thank you.